And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored tonight. We're watching two investigations unfold. One involving suspected road rage of out of Baton Rouge. The driver of an 18-wheeler is accused of shooting and killing a 31-year-old woman named Caitlin Elizabeth. You're looking at her there in the video. The other, also unfortunate, but there was no death involved. A lawsuit now filed against a Houston Jack in the Box after video shows one of its employees, take a look at this, shooting at a drive-thru customer over missing some curly fries. They first threw they threw ketchup at each other, or at least the employee threw ketchup and then went out the window and started shooting at the driver. Some of the families spoke out today, urging Jack in the Box to do a better job of screening their employees.
For them to just take special more care of the people who they're hiring, because you're dealing with customer service. If you don't want to be in the industry of customer service because you don't like people, then find another profession.
Makes total sense to me. There's a reason why some people snap like this in a matter of seconds. Here's psychotherapist Dr. Nick Hardy to explain why. Now, in both these cases, in one car with the female, she had two other females and a child. And in the vehicle at Jack in the Box, it was a man and his family. So how do we get rage where we don't, in some instances, care about the safety of others, and we will pull out a weapon and discharge? In one case, the Baton Rouge woman was killed. In the other case, the man from Florida who was here in Texas and Houston was not killed or harmed, him or his family. But where does this rage come from that we're dealing with as a society?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it comes from a number of different places. Number one, I mean, even before an event happens, a lot of times we're taking in so much information and exposed to so many different things that we're operating at a heightened sense of just reactivity, So if you watch the news, social media, and even some of the conversations that you engage in, I mean, it can put you in a place where you're not at a stable mental space. And a lot of times when we're triggered, we respond accordingly. And unfortunately, in certain instances, when people have a weapon, when they already, don't have a good sense of, their own temperament and, just reactionary response in certain situations, it's unfortunate, and it leads to, the tragic events that we've seen as of late.
And do you think, and you said we're exposed to so many different things, do you think social media plays a big role in this, where we're constantly bombarded by videos that would either make us, feel bad that this is going on and this will never happen to me, and we adjust accordingly to deal with any potential situation that may come our way?
Absolutely. I think social media, I think music, I mean, we're just operating on a heightened sense of alert. And the reality is everything isn't life-threatening. But again, if you kind of listen and you watch certain things over and over and over, you kind of create this idea in your head that a situation is more dangerous than it actually is.
Now, one of the things that we have heard in the past is when we talk about social media and being exposed to it, that was one thing. But then we've heard that many people came out of the pandemic not knowing how to play well with others. But we've been almost 2 years out of the pandemic. Shouldn't we be better by now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think these situations we're seeing are extreme. I think most people coming out of the pandemic have developed or have assimilated more into being able to operate, in certain group settings. I think these are definitely outliers. I mean, it's hard to use these tragic incidents as the norm of what most of us are experiencing as it relates to coming out of COVID and, being able to transition back into civilization, being around people. So.
And when individuals are caught in a situation like this, why can't they see the big picture? Like, if I pull out this gun and I fire and I kill someone, I am going to prison. Or if I harm this child,
with this gun, I will never be able to forgive myself, even if I get out of prison. Why can't we think big picture like that when we're in these heated moments?
Yeah, I think we miss the big picture because we feel, we act, and then we think. And so we respond a lot of times based on how we feel in the moment. And by the time we allow what happened to catch up, before we process it, before we like think about things logically, unfortunately, many times we've already reacted based on that feeling. So if someone feels threatened, then they respond based on that feeling. If someone feels disrespected, then they act. But the reality is you should always just allow time to not just feel, not to act immediately, but just to allow whatever it is that was going on, just allow that information or that event to just settle and think about it, and then respond appropriately. And what you see in those instances is that truthfully, this is someone in a drive-thru, or this is just a road rage incident. It doesn't warrant you pulling out a lethal weapon. So,
all right, Dr. Nick Hardy, we want to thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We got some work to do as a society.